Dear friend,
Let's discover more of who we are together.
love, Haylee and Amanda. You guys will never believe who we have today as our guest.
You are going to just freak out. Might not be someone you are very familiar with.
Do you know how much back and forth we had to go with this person's manager to get them on this podcast? It's been a long time coming, and I'll tell you, it's going to be worth it.
I mean, it's hard. It was hard to fit her in this interview because she's so busy.
She's so busy. Everyone wants to talk to her.
Oh, yeah.
We could hardly get her on the books, but guys, for you, our listeners, our watchers, we have managed to
Can't wait.
her here. Y'all are dying with anticipation. I know. And it's not like,
Should we tell her to come in, like make an entrance?
yeah, let's tell her. Text her real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Drum roll, please. The anticipation's high. Today we have our guest, the artist, Haylee Ryan.
Thank you. Great.
Is this your entrance?
I'm here.
Wow, I can't believe we got you here.
It's me, everyone.
I can't believe we got you on your own podcast.
It was hard to. I've been dying to be on the
Have you?
Dear Friend podcast.
I know.
I listen to it every week.
That's
It's
not
one
what
of my
your
most.
manager said, though.
Well, we're gonna talk about that.
But we're excited.
My
to have
manager is
Me.
Amanda Walker.
you. I'm the manager, and she said you don't even
Have
listen
time.
to this podcast.
Oh,
Well,
Okay.
we're glad you're here.
thank you. Thank
It's
you
been-
for having me.
It's been a long time coming. I'm so nervous to interview you because I'm not.
I'm so nervous to answer, and I am.
Are you? Because this episode is about life as an artist. Because Haylee, for those of you who don't know, her job, her profession, how she makes her moolah is by being an artist. And I'm sure there's some people out there
That think that's impossible.
who think that's impossible, may want to do it themselves, or might just be curious about what like the day in the life of an artist and what that looks like is.
Well, and it's also nice that you're interviewing me because you are so frequently on the job.
I am the artist assistant. If you want to know what a day in the life of an artist assistant is,
Yeah.
you can interview me
Next week.
next week. The
No,
day
but
in
really
the
next week we are having another special guest. So be sure to
life. Don't
tune
know
in.
how we got her either.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's secure yet, but I want to put it out in the universe to seal it.
Maybe you should text her manager right now.
Too busy.
Okay, so Haylee Ryan.
Hi.
I think some people would be curious to know that Ryan's not your last name.
When you said my name like that, I felt like I was on a talk show and I wanted you to get me red wine over ice like Diane Keaton.
I will tell you that I watched a really cheesy Christmas movie the night before last. It's the one on Netflix called A Castle for Christmas with Brooke Shields.
I can't wait.
It's such a good bad movie, which means like the production value is high enough to where the badness of it makes
Really
it watchable.
comes through? Oh.
Yeah. And there's this one scene where, because she's an author, and she goes on the Drew Barrymore show.
No.
It's so bad.
Drew Barrymore agreed to this?
Yeah, I don't know why.
I'm going to go fast forward to that part.
It's at the very beginning.
Okay.
Also, welcome to the Drew Barrymore show, Haylee Ryan. It's good to have you here.
She did get me some cold wassail. That's kind of like wine over ice.
It is.
It's the Haylee Ryan special.
So
Cold, hot apple cider.
but your name is not, your last name's not Ryan.
No.
What is it?
Is this fine to like say all your names on live TV?
You have it all over the internet. What's the difference?
All right. My last name's Yale, like the university.
And she went to Yale.
And
She didn't. She's
did
not
not.
Rory Gilmore. I know you wish you were.
The way I did the drum roll earlier really was. But when I decided I wanted to be an artist at a very young age and I sold my first painting in 9th grade, I was like, one day, hopefully, and still hopefully, I'm going to get married and my last name's going to change. And then if I go by Haylee Yale, then everything I've worked for will change, you know? So I always really loved my middle name, Haylee Ryan. And so I just decided, well, that doesn't get said enough, so I'll just use that for my artwork, and then if I get married, my last name can change, and I'll still be Haylee Ryan.
That's a very future thing to think about in 9th grade.
It is.
Like, when my last name changes, I won't want to change everything over to the new, everyone will already know me as Haylee. So you thought you were going to make it big in 9th grade already?
I don't know. I don't remember that feeling. I just remember maybe like that happened to someone in my life at that time, like their name changed and then they had to change.
In 9th grade?
I don't know. Maybe like
one of your friends got married.
I don't know. I don't remember it even being like a really significant thought.
I mean, it was smart.
Yeah.
It's just interesting at 9th grade.
So now it is a little like it's smart that I did that, but now me saying Yale is almost pointless because I feel like people like in the neighborhood or in the art world or whatever, they know me as Haylee Ryan now. So
everyone,
if I say
like people people that know us pretty well, if I refer to you as Haylee Yale, they're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, wait, that's not Ryan's not her last name. And I'm thinking, how do you not know this? But it's because everything, all your social media and everything is Haylee Ryan.
Right. Which my dad loves. I mean, it's his last name too, but he loves because he picked out my middle name. Okay. And he always called me that growing up. And then when I was an art teacher, it was perfect too because I did go by Miss Yale. And all the students called me that. But then they could never really find me on social media or anything because I was Haylee Ryan until obviously I told them.
And they were elementary school.
Yeah. Yeah, but you'd be surprised.
How many of them have social media?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yes, a lot. And some kids still found me. Then they would tell me in class they like watched our videos and stuff. And I was like, dang, I gotta be careful.
Okay, so how did you get started? Let's do a little bit of background first before we get into your daily life as an artist.
Okay.
How did you get started as an artist? Like, how did you know that was your thing? Why did you pursue it so wholeheartedly?
I always loved to draw, even as a kid, like a very young kid. I don't know where that came from or anything. I just loved it. My parents are both pretty good at drawing. My dad, like, is an engineer, so he does more technical drawings. My grandfather used to draw portraits, but not for a living, just, like, of his kids and stuff. And then my mom also drew, but no one, like, was an artist or anything. And then when my grandfather passed away, I had made this whole folder of drawings for him, and I gave it to him in the hospital. And when I left the room, my grandfather told my parents, I think that she should be an artist, and if she wants to do that, please support her and let her be one. And I think that was just like the fuel that I needed and the encouragement I needed to kind of, even though he passed away when I was 9, I always felt like this support like around me in it.
Towards art. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I always loved to draw people and faces and eyes, and I don't really know where that came from either.
You always had little doodles of eyes all the time everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I would sketch all the time, and I, like I said, sold my first painting in 9th grade, but it was like a drawing of my friends, an older like family friend. They had their first baby, and she commissioned me to draw their baby. I'm sure it looked terrifying. I can't even remember, but she paid me for it. She was probably trying to encourage me, as a young artist. And so So after that, I was like, holy smokes, I can sell these things and I love it and it's people's faces and I just loved that. So kept going and always I was in like advanced art classes in high school and then I went to college for art, got my major, am I skipping through too much? Going too fast? Got my degree in painting, studio art with the concentration in painting. And then I tried to sell work just right away, but I was doing so many commissions and like I was just young and living with a bunch of people and not being able to pay my bills really. And so I started teaching art and that was really nice, but it was so draining and I never wasn't really able to pursue my art as much as I wanted to, but I was able to pay my bills. And then I slowly started weaning off.
Mm-hmm.
I taught full-time for 5 years, and then
And you always did elementary school art.
Yes.
Okay.
And I loved it, and it was wonderful, and it was a way of being like a real presence in kids' lives and like a creative motivator. And I was still pursuing my own art, but just couldn't do it because, I mean, as you know, being a teacher is just, you get off like at 4 or something, but you're just totally wiped.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do it. And so I decided to go part-time, and I did that for 5 years. And then as soon as I made that space by going part-time, things started to kind of snowball with my artwork just because I had that extra time. And like, I really believe giving yourself space is a huge way to let things grow in your life that you care about. And it is totally possible to start a new thing when you have a full-time schedule, because sometimes you don't have that luxury. But when you do decide to carve out some space, that it just leaves room for growth and opportunity. And so my work started to take off with murals and couple of shows and stuff and commissions. And then after 5 years, I was just so capped out busy with both that I wasn't doing either.
You're both teaching and art.
Yeah. I wasn't doing either to the best of my ability, I felt. And I was just really getting drained again, how I felt before. And so in 2020, I made the decision to stop teaching and see what happened if I gave myself all the space.
Which was kind of ballsy because 2020 was, quarantine.
It was, yeah.
You had already made the decision before COVID hit, and you decided to stick to that decision even though everything shut down. And I remember you were kind of worried about that.
Totally.
But then it was...
Well, and I had been feeling... I know I'm talking to you like you're interviewing me, but you have obviously been here for all of this. But I already knew what I was supposed to do. It's just really scary to make that jump.
Yeah. To leave the insurance
yes.
and the consistent paycheck, even though you had gone part-time.
Right.
It's still like some security that's really hard to let go of.
Because even going part-time was very scary. I had to make sure I had like all my stuff covered somehow to make myself feel okay. But when you go full-time, you don't know what's going to happen. So it was very risky, but I had known for years that I wanted to do that. And then it just took me a long time to actually make the jump. And so when the COVID happened, I was like, of course there's something else trying to stop me from doing this. And I just realized that it's always going to be something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of our favorite podcasts is Why Not Now podcast with Amy Jo Martin. And when you hear people tell this story of them pursuing the thing that they really want to do, they all say the same thing. Like, there's always something to stop you. And that's why she named it that. Like, why not now? Really, why not? And there will always be some sort of why not voice in your head, But good thing I have a very supportive friend. Yes. Because I'm telling you, when you're trying to take a leap to do something you care about that's scary, you start to have imposter syndrome, and you'll talk yourself out of it. And
But you had a lot of people in our community that were supportive, and your work stands for itself. Like, it's very good, and you were getting great jobs before that you were having to turn down because you didn't have the time. So you weren't just like, well, I hope this works. You had a lot of things to support that decision of going out on your own. So
yeah. And I think you have to, like, one of my friends, Cindy, she was like, think about the worst case scenario. What's the absolute worst that can happen if you do this and it doesn't work? I had just bought a house. It was like, you might lose it. What would you do? And Amy Jo Martin also kind of has this strategy. And once you think through the worst case scenario and you figure out your plan, then you realize, well, that's actually probably not going to happen. But now I have a plan for the absolute worst. So then I jumped, and now I've just been painting and working as an artist. Yeah.
So let's backtrack just a little bit.
Okay.
To kind of finding your voice and style in art, because you, as an artist, you have to have something that is yours. Like, you look at it and it's like, that's a Haylee Ryan, right? Don't you believe as an artist, there's like, you see, like, I can go to a gallery and know certain artists just by seeing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a friend of ours. You know, like, I can tell, or because they have a very,
like, a mark, a signature.
Yes. And I watched your style evolve through the years.
This is interesting for me.
Well, no, but it always, at the heart of it, like, you truly loved the human figure, and drawing people and bodies but now I think you have that stamp in your art, and you do too. I mean, you're looking at me like, really, but you do. You know, like, you have a very specific look, and I think when people see your stuff and even your murals, like, they know it's a Haylee Ryan. And how did you kind of navigate finding your style?
That is a really hard question, because I think it's kind of a combo of being intentional, but also letting what is going to happen organically too. You know, I don't really think if I look back from this moment that there were intentional steps. Like, I knew that I wanted my work to look exactly like this. Like, it's also surprised me along the way. And now I love where it's at now, but it will probably change and continue to morph. But it is interesting that whether I paint, you know, a group of people in a hot tub, or a person from the 1920s by a train, like, it still looks like I painted it. And I think that's really interesting. It's something I kind of explored in college, that spontaneity of how each person puts, whether it's pen to paper or floral or writing, there's something that's inside of each of us that no one else can actually render exactly the same, even if you're doing the same thing. And so that's really encouraging.
Yeah.
That I don't have to make myself feel like I'm putting myself in a stylistic box. I just have to make sure I'm pursuing what interests me and I care about, and then trust that because it's coming out of me, it looks like me. But as far as, like, my subject matter, yes, you're right. I've always loved the human figure. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure where that came from. And I've always loved very candid things. And I've always loved, imperfect isn't maybe the right word, but, like, I like bodies and faces that are very unique. And, you know, like, I feel like I'm talking myself into a hole. But I like bodies that you can tell have been through something or
that aren't perfect.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Not perfect, but then I feel like I'm like dissing people that have like super fit bodies or something, because that's obviously.
Well, no, but you say like whenever you're drawing, like when there's rolls
Yeah.
or there's like some density to
Yes.
the skin, it's much, and it's like supple, like you can really portray that in a painting.
Right.
Because there's shadowing and there's highlighting because there's movement.
Right.
And it's not so stiff and muscular.
Correct. Yeah, I am personally for my artwork more attracted to that. Yeah. And so that kind of evolved into catching people in these candid moments, because I didn't like things that felt stiff or rigid or posed. And then that kind of over time got me accustomed to like trying to capture memories, because it was kind of these freeze frames of like moments in time that people weren't, maybe they didn't think someone was watching, and that got me on this nostalgic route where I would look at old photos and it would be a moment that maybe was on a picture that didn't seem,
or like the main event or important.
Yes, but it was something captured that could continue to stay alive and make someone feel that, because we all resonate with those everyday moments and we all feel like everyday people. And so that's just kind of evolved. And then my style has started to tell that story over the past few years of leaving negative space for the parts and how our memory works that we don't remember at all, and then parts that are very flat and patterned for the parts of our memories that we remember color and pattern, but we don't attribute feeling and depth. And then I've always made the human figure and the face and the skin the most important, deliciously detailed part, because I think that's the part that sticks in my memory the most. And also the thing that makes us feel something is the way that people make us feel. So
where do you do your work?
Well, now I do my work in the old sunroom of my home. I turned it into a little painting studio because it has the best light ever, obviously, because it was a sunroom. I used to studio with my best friend. It was half a floral studio and half a painting studio, and that was very fun. But my friend got married, which is so awesome.
Can be, yeah.
It can be. Mm-hmm. And we just moved everything into our homes, and that's also awesome. It does present a challenge sometimes because you're working from your house.
But you seem like, from my point of view, because we lived together for 7 years.
That's right.
Always studioed out of our house.
Yeah, out of my bedroom.
Yeah, you would always get the bigger bedroom, and we would turn part of it into your studio. Yes. So the whole time we lived together, you worked from home, and then there was like 3 years we had that studio.
Maybe 2 only, but
yeah, we had that studio, and it was nice to like go to that studio and work.
Well, and not to have all of your paint stuff in your home.
But now your house studio, it's a specific designated space. It's not like in your home messy everywhere. Like it's you have your organized studio, and it's so cute with all of the windows everywhere and the great lighting. Do you like working from home?
Yeah, I do. I think that there was something about, like you were saying, going to a designated place to work, because it makes it feel more like I have a job I'm going to, you know?
Yeah.
But I do feel like I work more from home because I don't need to like get ready and
drive.
Yeah, and drive, and you just lose time like that. And also my mind, I feel like there's something like constantly buzzing in the back of my mind that has to do with my artwork. And so if something like is ready, like the timer goes off in my brain,
I'll just go to the sunroom.
Yeah, and I'll do it.
Sunroom Studios. Let's start calling it that.
Oh my God, I love that.
Let's make a sign. Sunroom Studios.
I
Why have we
love
never
that.
thought of that?
Because also, I love the sunshine so much. It's like a part of my personality.
Sunroom
My
Studio.
favorite flower is,
Sunflower.
yep, I was born on one of the sunniest days of the year in 1986.
Okay, that's enough. So you would like to have a place to go to, but it is nice to have the convenience, and because of like your dog Sugar.
Yeah, and I love having her with me. I love being able to, have coffee and food and all that, just at my fingertips. The only time it gets annoying is when I'm painting something that's too big for my sunroom studio, or if I'm working on a show and I have like 35 paintings because the sunroom is small.
It's not a big sunroom studio.
No. So,
Sunroom Studios seems like a huge warehouse.
yeah, it
but
does.
It's not.
Mm-mm. It's small and quaint.
So I think it also has to do probably with people's personalities, if they would do well working at home or not.
I almost wanted to start interviewing you, but we'll wait.
We'll wait to see if her manager says she's available.
Yeah.
So you work at home. What's your daily schedule like? Like, what's a day in the life? Okay, because I know your life can be all over the map.
It is so
But
all
like
over the
a
map.
day that you're gonna be at the artist Haylee painting, what is
Let me tell you two versions. I'll just
Yeah,
barely edit it.
like a mural version
Yes.
and a at-home studio?
Yes, because that is how I make my money. I make my money by painting murals, which are on site somewhere. And then I make my money by doing commissioned paintings, which I obviously am painting at home. And or I'm working on a show and it's paintings that I care about and then hopefully will sell that are not commissioned. They're my fine art, my work. So typically I set an alarm for like 7,
Okay.
and I usually get up
And immediately,
right at
as soon
7.
as your eyes
Yes.
open, you
I'm
get up
just-
and you make coffee and you fry eggs.
I was like, you could tell this whole thing. But no, I don't get up right at 7. I get up probably at closer to 8.
Okay, she's being honest.
It's a lot of snoozing. Probably because Sugar's so snuggly, my puppy. Anyways, I get up and then exactly what you just said. The first thing I do is I make coffee in my French press and I fry 2 eggs with turkey sausage and green salsa.
And if you want to be an artist, you have to do this
Yeah.
too. You're not an
It's the
artist
key.
unless you wake up, make French press coffee, and fry 2 eggs with turkey bacon, turkey sausage, and
Yeah, don't
green
do bacon
salsa.
or you won't be an artist.
No. Okay.
Okay.
So after breakfast,
I put my paint clothes on. And this, I will tell you, I wear the same clothes every day.
Yeah.
Because
we
when
need to get you some cute paint clothes.
I know, especially for when I go on murals. But when I'm at home, I wear the same paint pants and same paint. Well, I have a couple different shirts and sweatshirts, but I just put that on. I look trashy, but it's like, boom, you're going to work. You have your paint clothes on, you're going to work. And I'll probably go, check some emails and stuff, but in the sunroom studio. And then I'll start painting and I'll take a lunch break and keep going.
And do you manage like, okay, I have these commissions, so I'm going to work on them half the day and then my work the other half? Or no?
Mm-mm. What usually happens, and this is the challenge, is you say yes to all of this work, like all of these commissions and murals and stuff, because they make you like they're
Immediate
guaranteed money. Yeah, and then you tell yourself that you're going to make a big chunk of time where you work on just the stuff you care about that will hopefully turn into a show, but I've bogged myself so down with commissions and have-tos that I end up doing that.
Problem.
I'm not very good at, which I'm trying to be better at, doing like a half and half like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like first half,
Morning,
yeah,
I'm going to...
and then
Imagine
every day I'm going to work on something I care about. I do have 2 going like that though right now.
You care about your commissions.
Yes, I do.
You just the way you were saying that sounded like, then I'll do something I care about.
I know.
But you mean like your work is
Yeah,
something very different than like someone telling you exactly what they want.
It's just that I'm doing it because I want to, and I chose it myself, and
Right.
no one's guaranteed to buy it, but I care, but that's what I mean. It's not a commission. Now, in reality, I don't sit there and paint for 8 hours because there are so many other things to do to keep my work rolling, like, running out to do a site visit for a
Upcoming mural.
or going to meet a new client or something, or going to the printmaker to get my work photographed, or picking up a frame, or
or answering tons of emails and direct messages,
making invoices.
Yeah, like the admin stuff.
Also, a huge part of my work is making the mock-up design for the murals and for my commissions.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time on my iPad drawing out and cutting out photos and sending these off for approval and stuff. And then, that is a huge chunk of my work.
Yeah.
And then the actual execution is pretty small.
It's interesting. It's just like anything. You picture what being an artist is like, or any type of job, but there's so much more to it than the fun part.
Yeah. Well, and what I was going to say that you really know is people think murals are the most glamorous thing you could be, a mural artist. And then I go to a site and it is trash.
Most of them are unfinished job sites.
Construction
zone. You have to wear hard hats. Like, it's a mess.
Dust everywhere.
Or it's outside and you're dealing with the elements. You're having to strategize, like, where to put the projector, where to put the ladders, where to put, like, all the
hot,
paint.
sweaty, or
are we doing a boom lift, scissor lift? Are we, it's like a lot of that.
A lot.
And then once you get, but it is fun to paint them, but it's not
fun.
Glamorous.
No, it's messy, it's dirty, it's tiring. It's never where you think it's going to be.
It's like when we had the Miles sisters on for an episode. They also do murals together, and they were doing one. When we interviewed them, they were in the Bahamas doing a huge mural, and we were like, "Is it so wonderful?" And they're like, "Yeah, but like you're in the Bahamas working. Like, it's also just hard work and hard physical labor."
Yeah. And I'm so thankful that my murals are allowing me to travel more, because I really care about that, and I love when you are able to come. But yeah, you spend 90% of your time working, and then hopefully you have some nice evenings and stuff like that to explore.
But sometimes you're working late at night to get
especially
when
you're there, my PM pushing me.
Ooh, yep. Okay, so that's typical schedule is murals and art.
Yep, that's it. I just go back and forth and try to take care of it all and carve out time for me to keep learning and working on stuff that it will give me shows and exposure for, oh my God, and social media.
I was about to say, that was one of my questions, is like, how do you make sure that you keep growing your business?
This, I would say, is definitely something I need to be better at. It's also, if somebody was an artist, you may want to consider getting some sort of manager or agent, because artists are typically really bad at promoting themselves and fighting for themselves and fighting for the money and the exposure that you need. But you also need to really make sure you find someone that is trustworthy.
Has your best interest.
Yes, your best interest at heart. Of course, they need to make money because it's their job and expertise, but just nobody represents you like you. Mm-hmm. So, making
sure that they earn their percent.
Correct.
Like, you might have a great contract with someone, but if they're not bringing the work to you, they're not earning their percent.
Right. And so this is something I'm still dealing with. I don't have management right now because I've had some bad experiences, but just because you are representing yourself and have your own business doesn't mean you're good at all the parts of it. I'm really bad at a lot of it. I don't like admin work. I don't like talking about money. I don't like invoices, social media, marketing, none of that. Like, and I don't want to think about it, but someone has to do it. And so that's something that I would take advice on if anyone had it. And I have a good group, like a community of artists here in town that, I bounce stuff off of. But you have to really find people that are trustworthy and that it's not a competition. And I think Dallas is a really good place for that. I've felt really supported, and we all kind of pass each other's names around and look out for each other.
Yeah. So do you like being an artist?
I love being an artist. I feel really lucky every day that I get to do something that I care about and that's fun, and that I feel is now as I'm 35, and I feel like especially this past 2 years, we've really gone like introspective and trying to really understand our why and our purposes in life. And it's not just about like slapping paint on a canvas anymore either. Like, I'm also finding like the deeper meaning and purpose behind it too, which makes me feel like there's longevity in it and something more nourishing than just making something pretty or beautiful.
So if you could give one piece of advice to someone who wants to pursue being an artist full time like you.
Well, sorry, but 3 things popped in my head because I'm also indecisive.
Nice.
1, I would say trust yourself and make space for something that is calling your name. Like, if you're hearing a little voice inside of you that's like, come on, give it some space. Even if it's a little bit of space, like at the end of the day or in the morning or whatever, maybe you can't go part-time right now. Like, give yourself some space to play and explore. I think that's kind of tied into the second thing I was going to say is play. So if you're exploring something new that you care about, you may not know how good you are at it or what avenue you want to go down, but if you just play and follow that curiosity, it may lead you somewhere. And lastly, I think learning this year with Simon Sinek that trying to find your why, like make sure that what you're doing somehow is connected to your purpose in your life that you care about. I think we can have hobbies and stuff that are for fun and don't have to matter so much. But if you're thinking about making a career move, like make sure that it's something tied to your why so it has longevity. And if there's no connection there, then maybe it should just be a hobby.
Pretty good advice. You're off the hook. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Haylee Ryan. I can't believe you made time to get on this podcast with us.
Me either. Thank you to my management over at 80 Dubs Management. And I hope that I can come back on this podcast really soon.
Yeah, we'd love to have you again.
I really love what you guys are doing here on the podcast about, meaningful conversations to just inspire and align people and, caring for your dear friends. I love it.
Yeah, we really we're honored to have you.
Can't wait for next week.
Next week, we'll have another guest, so you get ready for that, too. Thank you
Coming
guys
up.
for listening this week. Thank you for being a part of the conversation, and have a great week, and love your dear friends.
And this podcast that you are listening to is produced by your dear friends, Haylee and Amanda.
Also, the music that you hear in the intro and the outro is from our band Sister. And if you like the music or want to hear more, you can find all the information at sistertheband.com, where you can listen to the music on all platforms.
Yeah, and you can listen to this podcast because you are right now, but don't forget you can also watch us on YouTube. Subscribe. Dear Friend, podcast. And follow us on social media at dearfriend.podcast. Hey, we'll see you out there in the world.